let's unpack this one. Turkey's aiming to produce 1,500 aircraft.
Yeah.
We're talking the full range here.
Yeah.
Fighters, helicopters, drones.
The whole spectrum.
All within the next decade. By 2034, I mean, that sheer number, 1,500, it just sounds like a potential game changer.
It really does.
So let's dive into what's driving this huge ambition.
Well, right off the bat, the scope is just fascinating, isn't it? Announcing 1,500 platforms, everything from, advanced jets to stealth drones.
Yeah.
It really signals a powerful strategic intent. It feels like it's much more than just building planes.
Oh, definitely.
It seems like they're aiming to fundamentally reshape their whole defense posture.
Exactly. So if you're like us, if you keep an eye on defense technology, military affairs, maybe international relations, or honestly, even if you just follow major global news, this is a deep dive that's definitely worth your time.
Yeah.
We're going to try and dissect this Turkish Aerospace Industries plan, this TAI roadmap.
Right, the 10-year plan.
Yeah. Look at the aircrafts involved and try to understand why this announcement from their CEO, Mehmet Demiroglu, has generated so much buzz.
Okay.
Our goal here is really just to pull out the key insights, give you a clear understanding of what TAI is shooting for, the sheer scale of it, and the potential ripple effects.
And I think to really get it, you need to see it in context. This is part of Turkey's broader national defense industrialization strategy.
Yeah.
The main drivers seem to be, achieving greater defense independence, autonomy, and becoming, frankly, a more competitive player globally. This production target, it sends a very clear geopolitical message. It's not subtle.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So the headline, 1,500 platforms by 2034, announced just yesterday, May 24th, 2025, at TAI's Karamakazan facilities.
Okay.
And this breaks down, like we said, into fixed-wing, helicopters, and unmanned systems. Let's maybe start with the fixed wing. They're planning 500 aircraft there.
Right, 500. And leading that pack is the KAN.
The fifth-generation fighter. Now, for anyone less familiar, fifth gen usually means things like stealth, advanced sensors, high maneuverability.
Exactly. Puts it in the same sort of category as, say, the US F-35.
Yeah.
And the KAN program is absolutely central here. Putting it within that 500 fixed-wing goal really underscores its importance for Turkey, for air dominance, and, given the complexities, sometimes the unpredictability of international arms deals, having your own domestically produced fifth-gen fighter, that's a huge step towards self-reliance.
It is. It's meant to replace some older planes, right?
Yeah.
A need that's probably felt more keenly given some recent procurement challenges they've faced.
Yeah, definitely adds urgency.
And alongside KAN, that 500 number also includes the Hürjet Advanced Trainer, and the Hukkuhis Basic Trainer. And the Hukkuhis seems to be doing pretty well already.
It does. Looks like 55 orders, 10 deliveries expected just this year.
And wasn't there talk about a potential deal with Spain? For maybe over 100.
Yeah, that's floating around. It shows there's international interest, too.
Okay, so the success of Hukkush and Hürjet, it kind of builds a foundation, shows they can deliver on fixed-wing aircraft.
Exactly. It demonstrates existing capability. And the CAN progress, 3 prototypes expected by early 2026, deliveries starting late 2028, that shows a real push into the advanced stuff.
Okay, let's switch gears. Rotary wing, the helicopters, plan is for over 350. This includes the Gurk BEY utility helicopter, the existing ATAC attack helicopter.
We're just seen service.
Right. And the much anticipated ATAC-2, the heavy attack helicopter. That one feels particularly significant capability-wise.
It really does. This renewed focus on a heavy attack helicopter is, I think, a critical development. The current ATAC is good. It's an important asset.
Sure.
But a dedicated heavy platform like ATAC-2, that significantly boosts their ability for deep strikes, close air support. It offers something different.
And is there maybe a factor there about accessing Western tech?
Well, the announcement sort of hints at it, that maybe past restrictions on exporting certain Western helicopters might have influenced prioritizing this domestic program.
Makes sense. You can't always rely on others for critical kit. Okay, finally, the unmanned side. UAVs, drones, around 600 planned.
A big chunk.
Yeah. Includes the Anka-1, the Akaretsager, and the Anka-3 stealth UCAV. That Anka-3, the stealth one, sounds like it could really change things.
Oh, absolutely. Anka-3 being a stealth UCAV, unmanned combat aerial vehicle, that's a major leap.
Low observability, right? Harder to detect.
Exactly. Harder for radar. Combine that with its payload options, and it really could become a new backbone for their unmanned operations. It gives them a serious asymmetric capability.
Puts them in a different league in that domain.
Yeah, positions Turkey as a key player in this really rapidly advancing field.
So just doing the math, 1,500 aircraft over 10 years. That averages out to, what, 150 airframes a year?
Yeah, about that.
That really just highlights the sheer scale we're talking about.
It does. And the announcement itself pointed this out, that level of sustained high-volume production puts TUSA, or TAI, into a pretty small club globally. Outside of the real giants like the US and China, very few countries can demonstrate that kind of output over a decade.
Can you give some context, like, compared to others?
Sure. I mean, think about maybe France and Sweden combined their combat and support aircraft production over the last 10 years. TAI's target could rival that.
Wow.
Or even look at South Korea's big KF-21 Borame project. TAI's overall volume target is in that kind of ambitious territory.
You don't just flip a switch and produce 150 complex aircraft a year, though. This needs massive support. It seems TAI is really investing heavily in their domestic industrial base.
That's absolutely crucial. You can't separate the production goal from the ecosystem needed to support it.
Right.
Their workforce has grown significantly, almost 16,000 employees now, with like over 10,000 hired just in the last decade.
Huge growth.
Yeah, and they're expanding globally too. Offices in the US, Europe, Asia, planning for Africa, Latin America.
But the supply chain piece feels key. Localization.
Vitally important. They mentioned completing over 125 indigenization programs, basically making parts at home that they used to buy from abroad. And they've got over 330 more programs like that underway. This isn't just, national pride, though that's part of it. It's about financial stability long term.
How so?
Well, they project retaining about $1 billion annually just by replacing imports with domestic production.
Okay, that's serious money.
Yeah. Think about it. Instead of that money flowing out to buy parts elsewhere, it stays within Turkey, building up their own industry, makes them less dependent, potentially saves costs eventually.
And it's not just building them, right?
Yeah.
It's keeping this huge fleet flying. It sounds like logistics and services are a big focus too.
Precisely. You can build 1,500 platforms, but if you can't maintain them, support them, get spare parts quickly.
Doesn't work.
Right. So prioritizing logistics and services makes sense. It ensures the whole plan is actually viable long-term, and it's a future revenue stream too.
Let's circle back to the strategic angle for a second. We touched on it, but the Ka-an fighter, its role in air superiority and reducing reliance on outside suppliers feels especially important, particularly given the, let's call it, dynamic nature of defense partnerships sometimes.
Absolutely. Those uncertainties, particularly around U.S.-Turkey defense trade, they make a domestic program like Ka-an even more strategically vital. And same logic applies elsewhere. The ATAC-2 heavy helicopter, tailored for their needs, directly addresses potential limits on getting similar Western tech.
Yeah.
And the NAA-3, the stealth drone, offers that unique edge in modern conflict.
And beyond just Turkey's own defense needs, this kind of production capacity,
Yeah.
it could really shift their standing within NATO, couldn't it? And open up new defense cooperation opportunities.
For sure. The announcement mentioned potential partners like Pakistan, Malaysia, Nigeria. That highlights the point.
Right.
A strong domestic defense industry gives you more leverage, more flexibility internationally. It boosts what they call defense industrial sovereignty.
That potential Spanish deal for the Hercules trainer fits that narrative too, right? Countries looking beyond the usual suppliers.
Exactly. It shows TAI's products are becoming competitive options on the world market, which reinforces the whole strategy.
Okay, last piece. The money. The finances, they're talking big revenue targets. $3 billion this year, aiming for $4.3 billion in 2025. And projecting $12 billion by 2034. Do those numbers seem, well, plausible given the production plans?
It's ambitious, no doubt. But the fact they already have significant orders booked for Hercules, Hujet, that potential big Spanish order we mentioned,
Right.
that provides a solid starting point. The revenue growth seems designed to track the expected ramp-up in production over the next 10 years. If they hit the production targets, the revenue should follow.
So, stepping back, looking at the big picture, this isn't just about hitting a production number, is it?
Yeah.
It feels more like Turkey trying to fundamentally change its place in the global aerospace world.
I think that's exactly right. This 10-year plan looks like a deliberate effort to transition. Not just a regional defense player anymore, but aiming to be a genuine global aerospace manufacturer.
Competing on tech and scale.
Exactly. Competing on both technology with things like KAN and NK3 and on the sheer scale of production. It's a powerful combination of national strategy, economic investment, and growing tech capability all coming together.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. To recap the key takeaways, TAI's incredibly ambitious goal, 1,500 aircraft by 2034. Fighters, helicopters, drones. It's a massive signal about their drive for defense autonomy, self-reliance, and really boosting their global aerospace presence. The sheer volume, the focus on building up their own domestic industry, the supply chain localization, and the huge strategic implications. It makes this a really significant development. If you follow defense, international affairs, this is one to watch.
Definitely.
Hopefully this deep dive gave you a clearer picture than just the headline numbers.
And what strikes me is how interconnected it all is. It's not just separate programs. It's about building this whole ecosystem, right? Design, manufacturing, long-term support.
Yeah.
All while strategically positioning Turkey differently in the world.
So here's maybe a final thought to leave you with. Considering this incredibly ambitious target, 1,500 diverse aircraft, what do you think might be the single biggest hurdle for Turkey in actually pulling this off by 2034?
Good question.
And flip side, if they do succeed, what could be the most significant geopolitical consequence we might see? Something to chew on.
Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the biggest shifts in aerospace, geopolitics, and defense innovation.